Hi everyone. Lone soldiers reunited with their parents, French high school graduates visit Israel, dealing with the expulsion trauma, and Abel Pan's art depicting stories of the Bible. Let's get started. Shalom and welcome to Israeli Salad. Chayal Boded is Hebrew for lone soldier. In the IDF and in Israel's police force, there are many lone soldiers that can teach us all something about contributing to the security in the land of Israel. Here's a look at a special event held in Jerusalem in honor of the lone soldiers, the Chayalim Bodedim. Teenagers from around the world come to visit Israel, to learn in Israel, and even to immigrate to Israel on their own. In addition to this, there are also those who come to contribute to Israel's security. Hundreds of foreign teenagers come to Israel with one preliminary goal: to join the IDF or Israel's police force.
I immigrated to Israel 3 years ago from Russia. For a little over a year, I've been serving in the police. My station is near the Western Wall.
A special get-together took place in the Tower of David Museum in Jerusalem. After not having seen each other for years, parents of these unique soldiers and policemen met their children.
It's real fun to see Mom. I don't see her every day like other kids see their parents every day. It's really moving. It's really nice. In this program, the Jewish Agency brought around 780 parents of the lone soldiers.
Many of these security personnel immigrated as part of Jewish Agency programs like Sela and Na'aleh, programs that bring the kids to Israel, hoping to have the parents follow.
This program has two goals. One, to give these young people a chance to see their family members. It's an act of gratitude for what they're doing. And two, to allow the parents who may not be familiar with the country to visit the country so they won't worry about their children. They're all happy they go back to their countries as emissaries who promote immigration.
Serving the country has a direct effect on these soldiers and policemen. Tatiana knows where she hopes to live after she finishes her service.
I'm staying here. That's 100%.
In addition to the army, also Israeli universities and colleges are a platform for integration into Israeli society. Now let's meet another group of teenagers who came to Israel. These kids are not joining the army yet. So far, they're here just for a visit. The excitement in the Ben Gurion reception hall was felt as journalists, families, and Jewish Agency activists were preparing for the arrival of the new tourists. The flags were raised and the flowers were held as 220 teenagers from Paris entered the hall. These are 12th grade students from Jewish schools throughout Paris, the first of around 700 who will be coming to Israel to examine possibilities of receiving their higher education in Israeli academic institutions.
We're here to visit our country and to get to know how life is here, and also to see how education will be in the upcoming year. I'll have to choose a place to study. I prefer the Technion in Haifa. We'll visit Jerusalem, visit the Western Wall, visit the Mount Scopus University, the Haifa Technion. We'll also visit the Golan Heights.
Were you ever here?
Yes.
How many times?
I visit almost every year.
Do you think you'll stay?
I'd like to.
And what do your parents say about that?
Hey, my father's already here. He came here before me. I came earlier to get him interested in staying in Israel. We'll begin with a preparatory school, then army, and then university.
High school seniors in blue and white, or Bec Blanc Blanche, is a program organized by the Jewish Agency for Israel. The young adults come for a week full of programs and activities. They visit Israel's holy sites, as well as Israel's academic institutions. And so, the visit is both educational and informative.
What's unique here is that the students who are coming come with the teachers and school principals. It's almost the whole class from the Jewish high school. What could happen thanks to these programs is that a whole class will come here for a whole 13th year, which means that after 12th grade, they'll come back to check things out for a whole year, and then they'll decide where they want to learn.
For many of the students, this is not their first visit to Israel, but this visit is a step that brings them closer to eventually moving to Israel.
What will I do afterwards? I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm here, and it'll be fun.
Be sure to visit the Israeli Salad website. On the Israeli Salad site, scroll through all the editions, see what topics were presented on each program, and simply click on the icon to watch your favorite program. Also, watch all our fantastic music videos featured right here on Israeli Salad. So be sure to click on www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm. That's www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm.
The expulsion from Gush Katif and the Shomron obviously had psychological effects on many, for those who were actually expelled, and for many who witnessed the events from afar. So how should this trauma be treated? And was it treated correctly as the events were unfolding? Psychologists, therapists, and other professionals held a convention to explore these issues. Around 4 months have passed, and now it's time for summaries and conclusions. At a convention attended by experts in the field of psychology and trauma, the events that occurred during the expulsion were summarized. Therapists and experts who were in Gush Katif while troops evacuated the Jewish communities talked about the different types of trauma that resulted from the expulsion. For example, while a departure prayer service was taking place at the local synagogue, the teenagers refused to depart from their beloved community.
The teenagers are sounding out very clearly their objection to the moderate response. This response seems lame to them. It did not express their anger and fury about the expulsion. What could we have done with these teenagers? At that moment, we should have held a dialogue inside the community.
The intellectuals' forecasts were wrong, said one of the participants who returned from witnessing the events with one conclusion: a crowd that lives according to ideas of eternity can deal better. These therapists deal with the terror victims in addition to the newly expelled residents of Gush Katif and the Shomron. While there is a difference between the two groups, each group must be treated with the same amount of seriousness.
It's true that the expelled lost something they believed in. There's a great spiritual fracture, but there's no death. And death is something that exists in the case of terror. But on the other hand, it's true that when people of your own nation harm you, it's different than an enemy.
Israeli journalist Dan Margalit spoke about his experiences from the days of the expulsion. He estimated that the trauma won't last forever. However, he says, the trauma is strongly felt today in the political arena.
Where is the orange crowd that was everywhere? Suddenly we don't see them. This is a very interesting phenomenon. This crowd is a smashing majority in the Israeli right wing.
Dan Margalit's conclusion is that as we come closer to the elections, the orange crowd will emerge from the trauma and will have a great influence on the results. That, says Margalit, is why Sharon left the Likud.
He knew that one day thousands of the right wing that are not relying on the state financially would move a lot in the hearts of the Likud members. There's no doubt about that. Omri Sharon, Gilad Sharon, and even Sharon the father cannot overcome this.
And now another good news update, this time about a nice addition to the Jewish nation. Mark Kaplan is standing by in the news studio. Mark?
Shalom, Yoni. This time, let's get somebody else to give the good news. On the line with me now is Dr. Chaim Yafi, who is the chairman of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Bikur Cholim Hospital in Jerusalem. Shalom, Dr. Yafi.
Hi, Mark.
So give us the good news.
Well, the good news that a woman just gave birth for quadruplet, which means 4 children. after 35 weeks of being pregnant and after lying in bed for about 12 weeks. And we did a cesarean section. It was like a military operation because we had to make ourselves ready for it with a lot of gynecologists in the operating room, a pediatrician around, and of course the nurses. And thanks God, the 4 children came out, a boy and 3 girls, with very good weights between 2 kilograms, 200 to 1,740 grams.
And how's the mother doing?
Mother is very, very tired, but exhausted and delighted.
So how are you feeling? Do events like this happen often?
No, absolutely not. Such delivery occurs about once in 700,000 births. This pregnancy came out very good, miraculously.
Dr. Chaim Yaffe from the Bikur Cholim Hospital in Jerusalem, thank you for joining us in Mazal Tov.
Mazel Tov.
Yoni, this woman had 4 children already, so if my math is correct, that brings us up to 8. That's our good news update. Back to you, Yoni.
Thank you, Mark. And now let's end with some art. Abel Pan Paints the Bible is the name of an exhibit we visited 2 years ago. The exhibit was presented in Israel's museum in Jerusalem.
It's a retrospective exhibit of Abel Pan, one of the founders of Israeli art, one of the founders of the first art school in Jerusalem, Bezalel, and I would say the artist that was mainly connected with the description of the scenes of the Bible.
Abel Pan was born in 1883 and made his way from a Lithuanian cheder to the Bezalel School of Art and Crafts in Jerusalem.
He really was a school of one person. He was himself, he influenced others, and he was the most important artist depicting scenes of the Bible.
One of the things that make Abel Pan's artwork unique is the way he brings to life characters of the Tanakh.
And this was the main issue of his paintings and his attitude to the depiction of the Bible, to make, to describe scenes of the Bible as if they were happening before your eyes.
When drawing our forefathers, Abel Pan did not draw characters who look like mythological characters or angels, rather characters influenced by the people who surrounded him.
When he was a teacher in Bezalel in 1913, he was affected by this kind of local Orientalism, this relation to the East and to the Orient.
We didn't know that the sun was dangerous, and I used to sit hours, and I had a tan, which reminded him of the Bedouins, in the desert. I was 14 years old.
He felt, as few other artists also in the 19th and 20th century, that the people of the Bible or the ancient times were very much like the contemporary Oriental scene.
He asked my parents, they gave him the permission, and then I used to sit on a platform very, very quietly because he painted in pastels, which is very, very precise.
Although he was not an observant Jew, Abel Pan was captivated and fascinated by the stories of the Tanakh, and he wanted to share his way of looking at the Bible with everyone.
At a certain period, in the 20s, in the 30s, almost in every house, at least in Palestine then, you could find a work, a lithograph by Abel Pan.
Okay, that's all for this week. We'll be back next week with another edition. Until then, from all of us here at INN TV, Shalom.